Oh, yay. Welcome, Mike. It's exciting. Have you here? Very exciting. All right, so we're gonna get started today, and the choice of today is actually the choices. So we talked about reinforcement before and how we reinforce some behavior and how we can talk about a particular behavior. Sheila, I saw your video and I've been working on, we're gonna talk about what you suggested. So Sheila sent me a video of her little girly, literally stuck on the nose on the ground, and she's pulling like a maniac, and she's like full force steam forward, and there's no possible way to disengage. Hi guys, hi Stuart, hi Anitra. To disengage that nose, she was like completely glued to the ground. Even her harness was so tight that it was like rotating her shoulder, and she looked crooked while she's walking, but yet she's so intense on that scent and is like going for it, and there's no possible way to get her out of that scent. So today, what we're gonna talk about is choices and how to really build those choices properly, and how to like really set up yourself for success. So specifically with the example that Sheila gave, which is I have a dog that I rescued, and my dog is really amazing, but he didn't have a good foundation knowledge and things like that. So my dog gets into that high salt level area, that predatory drive, that tracking drive, and there's no listening at that point. The dog is gone. It's like even a totally different dog, right? So when that happens, how do I ever teach my dog not to engage in those things? So same thing, this also applies. Megan is here too, and her and Mabel went with me to the dog park this weekend. And like at the beginning, is like, okay, so we're gonna work with our dogs. And what is our intention today? Is our intention for my dog to heal the entire time with me while I'm at the dog park? If that is your intention, that's completely unrealistic for a puppy. So it is not even appropriate to even think about that. So for example, for me, if my dog has a really strong prey drive and I go somewhere where I know there's a lot of smells, my intention will never be my dog ignores the smells and pays attention to me no matter what the distractions are, because that's too difficult, right? That is not an appropriate intention for an environment like that. So how do I make a choice of what intention to have at a particular moment in time? So I basically gonna look at my dog's weaknesses and strengths, and ask something that I can actually ask of my dog in that moment, so I can build up to what I want. So in the example of Sheila, is like the intention may be, I'm gonna let my dog pull and track for the first 45 minutes or first half an hour, and after my dog got that out of his system, I'm gonna ask for 3 watches. And then, so what's gonna happen is while my dog is tracking and doing the pulling and not paying attention to me, I'm actually gonna clip my dog to the back of the harness, and I'm gonna allow my dog to get all that energy out. And after the amount of time that I specify, I'm gonna clip my dog back to the front, and I'm gonna try to engage with my dog. So then if my dog does engage with me, it's gonna be heavy pace, heavy value, lots of talking, lots of fun, maybe even play with a tug of war game. I wanted to show you something. Hold on a second. I just got this thing specifically. So we just thinking about some of the issues that some of our clients had with that specific point about the prey drive. We ordered this toy. So this is actually sheep skin, and this one is sheep. I have rabbit too, and I have raccoon, and this is actually animals that were killed already. They weren't like harmed in any way, so they are like things that are used after the fact, and then there's a string to it. And so what happens is like this has a lot more value than a ball or a talk toy, something that is not real. And and this is, again, they're hard to get because it's real fur, and you only get them if there's ever a roadkill or like something like that. So you can't just go online and just order them. But when you have a dog that has a tremendous amount of prey drive, you want to make choices. You want to have them make choices that are really gonna create a lot of value. So this will be an example of something that I may carry with me. So after my 30 minutes, I put it in my jacket, right? I put it in my jacket just like so. And after my 30 minutes and my dog has gotten that energy out, and the dog even looks at me, I say her name and she looks at me for a second, yeah, boom, pull it out, play with her, la, 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 tug on it, get her to chase it around, or like pay with treats, whatever is more valuable for her. And then you go back to walking, right? And then the dog looks at you, wham, pay with her again. And again, at this point, I'm not asking for the actual watch. I'm not saying fluffy watch. I'm not actually doing that. What I'm doing is the only thing I'm doing is if my dog happens to look at me, I'm paying. And so that is realistic. So in the case of Megan, we went to the dog park. And I'm like, do you have a long leash? Oh, yes, I do. And it was awful. The puppies were pulling in every direction. Like at the beginning, there's lots of tension on the leash. But I'm going to tell you something. One of the things I really admire about Megan during that time is that she really did pay every time that Mabel looked. Every time. Now, did she pay properly? Not necessarily, but she did pay. So like sometimes she would do proximity one, sometimes she would do a touch, something stuff. And then I just guided her to do an exercise that will actually build even more attention, which is slide on your leash, get your dog to sit, and then toss the treat at your dog. So that is actually building that kind of a skill that you want at the dog park, which is, hey, I'm going to choose to engage with you, even though there's all these dogs around. And right after that, the dog went back to pulling the back, to like sniffing everything. And there was literally, if I was to like compare an advanced dog with like Mabel, we were really far off, but it doesn't matter because that is how every dog starts. So what I'm trying to say today, the lesson today is, what kind of choices am I asking my dog to give? What kind of intention do I have in a particular point, in a particular time with my dog, right? And like, for example, for you, Anitra, and for you, Stuart, when you're walking with Quattro, okay, you're doing really good at like redirecting him and getting him to focus on you. And then how much freedom are you giving him usually? So usually not very much, because I'm worried that he's gonna misbehave. So what you can do is you can start by saying, okay, I'm gonna actually give him like 2 minutes of freedom, where I'm gonna allow him to be a little bit more in front of me, or allow him to be a little bit more like free in regards to the distance from me and stuff like that. And if he chooses anything that involves like paying me or like paying attention to me, I'm gonna pay. Yes, 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 yes. So what I mean with that is, okay, so a lot of the time we get stuck in our minds with the same thing over and over again. And I'm gonna give you a human example, okay? Sometimes it's difficult to cook. So what you do is you get used to cooking certain recipes all the time because it's comfortable and you know how to make them and you can make them fast and then it's easy, okay? But in reality, it doesn't really challenge you. So what will be challenging would be to actually have variety, create a little bit of dynamic, like something new, something that you can learn to make fast, that is actually really different. And then all of a sudden you learn a new skill and you can mix it up with the things that you already know how to cook. So now you can create a little bit more value to what you already know because you try something new. Hi, Megan. So that's important. So what today's class is about choices. It's about how do I help a dog that has a very strong prey drive, that doesn't want to pay attention to me. How do I help that dog specifically? Now, look, nature is very strong. You can't fight nature. It's not going to work out for you, but you can work with nature You can be very smart at working with nature. So if I know my dog is gonna fail, I'm not gonna set it up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna allow my dog to release it very, very smartly. I'm gonna put the leash on the back of the dog instead of the front. And then I'm gonna allow my dog to pull for a certain amount of time. And then when I know my energy has gone down, if my dog pays attention to me, one reward, one praise, praise. And this goes for every single animal. Like, Megan, I saw that you have a new member of the family and he's doing some really challenging things. Right? I saw that. It was really exciting. And so things changes when you have new members in your family, things changing. Hey, there's the little dog we're talking about. Look, she looks so sweet right now. Don't believe her. She loves to chase scents. She's like, don't talk about me. So it's so cute. Oh my God, that's so cute. So what we need to do is, if you really have a challenge with your dog, are you adding variety to your dog's life? Because challenges are more like, if you have a piece of wood and you drag your nail on it once, it makes a little mark. You drag it twice, deeper mark. You drag it 3 times, deeper mark, and deeper and deeper. And then you really leave a mark that's going to stand the time. So that's what happens when you don't create variety. Your dog does these behavior things that you may not like. And because there's no variety on your life, on how you walk, where you walk, all that kind of stuff, that's creating more of a mark in their brain. And they become what they practice most of the time. You become what you practice most of the time. So if you don't change, if you don't create variety for yourself, if you don't challenge yourself to speak to new people, to ask questions, to like change your routine, then you get stuck and you're digging that trench, and it's so like solid that it's hard for you to climb out of it, right? So variety is key when you're trying to make a choice with your dog. It really is key. So Megan, you went to the dog park. You usually walk really nicely with Mabel, nothing like what you saw, but you created that variety. And at the end of the day, at the end of the dog park, you know where Mabel was? Behind Megan. And then closer to the car, it got more challenging, because it's like, hey, I remember this place. So then she started to pull again, and then we gave her a little bit more freedom and things like that. So you have to be able to really understand where your dog is at, and or yourself, and really choose the things that you want to reward and create value for in a small increments. Does everybody understand this? Yeah? Okay, so step 1 to helping create a valuable choice. Step 1, know where you're at, boy. Know where your dog is at. Know where you're at. Work with nature and a little bit of challenge, and pay heavily when that challenge is achieved. So if, for example, with your new kitten, Megan, I don't know what your relationship is with your new kitten. Does she know you already? Or he? She? It's a she.
Yeah, it's a she. She's still very skittish. She's still getting used to her environment. And like the day we went to the breeders and took her, she was still suckling on her mom, and she was still playing with her brothers and sisters. So she's still adjusting to that, and she'll think that Chester is her mom. So she goes to Chester and sucks on Chester. So we're slowly getting there, but we're playing. We're treat tossing. We're playing on the cat wall in the basement, which is amazing. And she's really getting comfortable. So it's just a matter of time.
For your particular case, it's too difficult for you to actually ask your new member of your family to actually chase something. I would really ask her instead to come to me. So what I would focus on is I would focus on restricting movement in the house, like just having a particular area where she's allowed to be. And then every time you come near her, show her a treat or a cookie, and then give it to her. and then slowly move farther and farther away. So she's associating you with food, you with food, we with food, you with food. And
Okay.
then that will take that skittishness away. And instead, when she's afraid, she'll come to you.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to write
Yeah.
that down and I'm going to go
Yeah.
do that.
So it's the same thing for you, Sheila. You actually did the same thing with your dog. Do you remember? So it was like her dog, literally, when she saw me, is like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like 100%. And then Sheila started rewarding her near her, not near me. So she knows fear equals come to me. Fear equals come to me. Fear equals come to me. So that's a choice that I want to take in that moment of time, because I need to build that particular thing, right? So same thing with Avery. Avery has Maui. Maui has been very insecure about big dogs, usually. So we started doing close. Like every time you get close to me, you get a treat. Okay, and so that was a behavior that wasn't difficult at all. That was actually quite easy to work with. That we didn't ask him to be good with dogs. That will not work out for us when we're starting. That will not work out at all. He hasn't eaten. Sorry, T. No comido. And so we had to actually like help him just do that close first, because it's so easy. It's a good choice that he can do, that he can be successful at before we ask for more. So we talked about variety. So in order to help your dog choose the right thing, you have to have variety. So Sheila, if you're walking with your dog the same way that she always pulls, okay, you're only building that. Dog becomes what he practices most of the time. So you're only building that. So you have to add variety. You have to walk in places that she doesn't do that. So then if she does make the choice to look at you or focus on you, you're going to pay and pay and pay. So now it's like, oh, if I do this, I get this. So that's the variety. The second thing that is important for contributing with choices is being dynamic. So dynamic is actually different from variety, because variety is like, oh, I may practice outside my house, I may practice in this trail, I may practice. So those are varieties, but dynamic is how you act. How dynamic are you to change? So for example, my dog looks at me and I do engagement one super quickly. I back up. My kitty looks at me and I go flat on the ground. I go, right? They love that, right? And so you have to be dynamic on how you create value. So then your dog and your kitty, and they can't really predict how that value is gonna come. So for you, Anne, for example, if you happen to pass by and she doesn't make any sounds, you can toss a treat to her in her head. And she's like, what? And that's surprising. That's variety. And your dog is gonna be, what? What? And then, or you can toss one in her head and then toss one on the floor, so she has to get down and go get it. So that's variety. So you're like the dog, the animal, your friends, they can't predict really how much valuable your reward is gonna be. Now, I'm not asking you to be dynamic on your skills, because that's something that you actually have to have a lot of consistency with, because having good skill set allows your dogs and any other creature to actually feel safe. So consistency in a skill is crucial. It's like the definition of a strength of character. So a strength of character is following through with a decision, even when the emotion of the moment has passed. So if you decided, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds, and you feel really excited because it's the new year and you're super excited, and that's your goal. And the strength of character is actually doing what you said. That's the strength of character. Even when new year is not there, it's actually following through with what you said you were gonna do. Like if you tell somebody that you're gonna be doing something, if you don't do it, you already told somebody else, and that is the lack of a strength of character. So having a skill set is a strength of character. It's telling your dog, I actually do mean what I say. I can protect you. I can take care of you. I can create value. So a skill set is not what I want you to be dynamic with, it's how you create the value that I want you to be creative with. Right? I mean, think about it. If you always eat the same thing every day, you get bored. So you like creating different ways to create value is what keeps a dog entertained, and is what keeps a dog wanting to interact with you. Right? So for example, going to a different grocery store, going to a different events, talking to different people, like sharing your story of what you've done in your life. Stuart has an amazing story of what he does. Like, it's absolutely brilliant. I never even knew that it was even a thing or possible. And Carl was sharing with me, and I was like, wow, that is so amazing. So that is value. When you share and you create value for others, your essence as a human being gets rewarded. Okay, so that is what we want to do with our animals too. So in order to help our animals make the right choices, we have to create variety for them, and we have to be dynamic on our value creation. Okay, the next thing is progress. Progress is a key concept, because if your dog is making choices and you're not giving them value, there is no progress. So progress will determine if you are actually helping your dog understand what is wanted. And that goes like the same thing in your relationships with people. If you are actually like doing things in the right way, which is creating value for each other, no matter if it's work relationship, a partnership relationship, you're actually going to see progress in your partnership. But in order to see progress, you have to know where you're at, and you have to push a little bit more. You understand? You have to get that. That's entertaining. We are meant to be creators. So we can't do the same thing over and over again. Your dogs are social predators. They're supposed to actually migrate for long periods of time. And cats are ninjas. They're always doing like different things all the time. You know, my cat right now is like utterly bored because it's the winter, and she's decided she doesn't go outside in the winter. She's like, oh, there's a snow, forget it. So she learned how to play the piano. So literally she'll get up on the piano, play the keys, and look at me. And I'll go, good, musical kitty. And now she's like, ding, 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 ding. And just for entertainment, right? I didn't even work on that. So, you know, so that's what you should see progress. You should see the choices that your dog is making. You should create variety so they can make the choice. Then you should be dynamic on your value giving. And then you should see progress if you're doing it right. Then after you've seen progress, guess what? This is where the majority of us fail. Including me, like when I started working, I would see progress and I was like, that's it, my dog got it. Sweet, yep. And then what happens is you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you're either growing or dying. So then what happens is then the dog becomes stagnant and he loses everything because you're not putting layers now. So the next step on it is actually layering. It's like pushing your dog to learn a little bit more. Does anybody remember how to layer anything? Sir, anybody remember the D's? Nope. Okay, 1D, Avery.
Distance.
Distance. So like if I can do a behavior that is next to my dog, can I do it a step away from my dog? That will be layering. That is pushing my dog to another level. Okay, same thing with your kitty, Megan. You're first next to her and you give her a treat every time she looks at you, and then step away. So one is distance. What's the next one?
Duration.
Perfect, Bev. Excellent. Duration. How long can I give my kitty entertained? So like I show my kitty the treat. Ooh, you want it? You want it? You want it? You want it? Yes. Right? And so the same thing with the dogs. So what's the next one after duration, you guys?
Direction.
Distractions. Brilliant. Can you do it in the living room instead of the kitchen? Like, can you drop a pan? Can you do that? Now, it's the same thing with people, you guys. It's exactly the same thing with us. Okay, if you can push yourself a little bit farther, you will grow. And if you do that, if you grow, you feel better about yourself, because the more you grow, the more you can give. But it really, like, the majority of the frustrations that we have, the majority of the stress that we have, the majority of the insecurities we have, number one, are due to programming from when we were little. But number two, it is so because we're not constantly growing. And it is it's so deep inside our genetics that growing is part of a human being. It doesn't mean you have to do somersaults. It just means that we have to do something slightly different so we can be entertained. I mean, why do you think we travel? We only travel because it completely takes us out of our comfort zone and it helps us grow. That is why we enjoy traveling, even if it's challenging and expensive and like things go wrong, we still love it, right? I yet to meet somebody that says, oh, traveling is not for me. I'm like, yeah, right? So that's so pushing. So now we have, okay, my dog needs to make the right choice. I need to make the right choices. I need to know where I'm at. I need to work with nature, not against it. And I want to create variety, so there's an opportunity to make a choice, because variety tilts you out of kilter. So then there's going to be a moment when the dog may look at you and then you go, yes, oh my God, you did it. Oh my God, you're the best thing in the universe. And you pay and pay heavily, and you're dynamic in your value creation. And so then you start seeing progress. And then when you see progress, don't say like what I used to do before. It's like, oh, I got it. It's all good. No, then you have to continue to grow. So then you have to push by layering. That is magical. That is magical. Like, for example, for you guys, especially for Stuart and Anitra, you guys, your dog is doing so amazing. But if you guys don't keep pushing, he's going to become stagnant and you're going to reverse back to where he was before. Because he needs that challenge.
Yeah, he needs the challenges. But he's also insanely smart. So the one of the issues we have is if we take him to a dog park, because where we are in West Vancouver, they're quite close to the ocean, the dog parks, or even in North Van, the one at the bottom of Fell and the Auto Mall there. If we do the leash and we, get him to pay attention, he knows what to do until we take him off the leash, and then he beelines for the ocean. Like, that's his addiction.
That is exactly what the same thing of Sheila's challenge. Know where your nature is at. Like, if you take him off the leash and he beelines to the ocean, that means nature is stronger than you. Right? His value for ocean is higher than yours. So instead of letting him beeline for the ocean, you can let him be with a long line near the ocean but not allowing him to get to the ocean. And when he looks at you or like comes to you or does anything related to you, you let him beeline to the ocean. So you actually created the highest value that there was, the ocean. But it was only when he engaged with you. So what is going to happen is that he's going to choose to engage with you more, because that's what paid with the highest reward.
Paid to go to the ocean.
He gets paid to go to the ocean. There's times when we don't want him to go to the ocean.
I understand that. I wouldn't take him near the ocean at those times.
Yeah.
But I would also work, because if you were to work five things, if I were to work with your dog 5 days in a row, and if you pay attention to me, you get to go to the ocean, I guarantee you that he'll be like this. He'll be like really trying to focus on me, because he knows that pace.
Okay, you're hired, because we really have had a hard time, and that means when we're in places where we actually don't even quite know there's a body of water there, he will smell it and he will actually beeline down a cliff, push himself off the cliff and dive into the ocean, have a party, and then run back up the cliff to see us.
I gotta tell you this story. Bobby is gonna thank me. I'm gonna send him a link to this. So Bobby has a dog named Nash. And Nash, I got hired to help Nash because he had a water obsession. So Bobby was having a picnic with his family near the ocean on a cliff. Nash threw himself off the cliff into the ocean to chase the water and attack it. Bobby had to run down the mountain, hire a boat, hope that Nash wasn't dead by the time he got to him, and actually rescue him. Okay, and then when I got him, we worked on his obsession with water. And one day I was hiking him and somebody let him off the leash and he threw himself into a waterfall. And I had to run down to catch him because he was swimming down the river in the Squamish, which is a huge river. And there's like, I'm running as fast as I can to get this dog out of the ocean. But I gotta tell you something, that dog was perfect after we finished. He would never go in the water. So what you have to understand, it is not magic. It really is. Your water has a high amount of value. You gotta replace that value with something else. You really do. So when we're talking about, yes, I agree. So what I'm talking about with creating value is that there is a lot of bricks that you can build to create that value. So what I mean with bricks, if anybody here is not familiar with the concept of bricks, is that the brain of an animal, human and dog and cat alike, is made of like neurons, and they're connected to each other and information gets transferred from those. So to make it simplistic, we're gonna call that the wall of understanding. And imagine each neuron being like a brick. And these bricks are concepts, words that if they're built properly, the vocabulary is properly structured without cracks, crumbles, or missing, you actually can make the right choices. You can make the right decisions and you can actually learn and process information. Now, because animals communicate in different ways, mostly body language, their actual bricks are not words per se, but they're concepts, like the concept of confidence, the concept of proximity, the concept of like frustration, the concept of prey drive, the concept of optimism. Those are concepts that an animal uses to make any decisions at any one time. So we can actually grab a concept, and if it's broken or damaged in any way, we can rebuild that brick. And rebuilding a brick creates a tremendous amount of value. The dog looks at you like this. I love you. That's what they do. So like I can, like just from the top of my head, you guys, I have 20 different games that you can use to build games to build that challenge with that challenge. So if anybody wants to come for a field trip to do the ocean thing, we're gonna go with Anitra and Stuart. Yeah, that would be really awesome. And we're gonna work on that particular thing. But again, know where you're at, right? If you're working right beside the ocean, you already failed. You already failed. That's like asking Sheila's dog to pay attention to you when she first put her nose on the ground. That never is gonna work out, right? You need to release the animal and you need to let the animal be, and then get them to do what you want. So in your case, I will release the animal far away from the water, so the animal is actually doing what I want. And when I mean, one second, guys, there. When I mean, almost there. She's getting better. Did you guys see? She's barking less. Okay, so I would, when I mean release, I mean getting the energy out. I don't mean let the dog free off leash. I mean allow the energy to process information and allow the dog to play and think farther away so I can move closer and closer, right? So that's the pushing. Now, the next thing that we don't do very much is recreating things. What I mean with that is if you look at the challenge that you have as a person, okay, the ways that we would deal with those situations would be to actually look at them. Actually say, okay, I am upset because my partner didn't take the trash out and I just got upset about it. Okay, that has nothing to do with your partner. That has to do with you and how you feel about the situation. Now, was it best for your partner not to take the trash out? Probably not. But really, the one person that got mad is you, and you have to take responsibility for that emotion. So what that means is that you have to look at it. You actually have to look at it and say, why did I get mad at him for not taking the garbage out? And if I look at it, I can think about, well, I hate taking the garbage out because when I was before and my old facility, I used to have to do it all the time by myself. And it was something that really bothered me. So now I have a trigger with that. I have a trigger with that particular thing because it's something that I already have negative associations with it. You see what I mean? So then what I want to do is after I looked at it, I want to recreate the experience and say, and actually talk to my partner about it. Hey, you know what? I got mad at the fact that you didn't take the garbage out. And so what I like to do is I like to actually work on that. So if that situation is recreated, I would actually see, oh, that I'm going to recreate that situation and I'm going to deal with it in a different way. So it's the same thing with your dogs. So it's the same thing for your cat. I'm going to recreate the situation. So what I mean with you, Sheila, is that I once I got my choices well established, okay, and I am now know that I have to create variety and I'm being dynamic on my rewards and I see a little bit of progress and I'm laying it up, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to where the challenge started and now try to work through that now with a little bit more knowledge, with a little bit more success. You know what I mean? You understand? Because I really, this class is for you, for your particular challenge that you have. So I really want to make sure that you feel that you're going to be successful through this. The dog that you have is challenging only because you didn't raise the dog. It came to you with a certain pre-program. And so you now have to take responsibility and say, I accept for who you are, but I also know you can grow with me. And Anne is a really good example because Anne, if you feel comfortable ever talking to Sheila, you guys should exchange numbers. Anne has actually helped her dog tremendously. Her dog was even more afraid of yours, Sheila. Like it was crazy. Like she couldn't even walk, terrified. Like so far gone into her mind. You know, and Anne really has done such a remarkable job of building that little dog's confidence. Really, really building that up. Now, the last thing I want to cover, does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, so I'm just gonna go really quickly. Choices have to be, like you want your dog to make choices. In order for your dog to make choices, you have to make it easier for them. So you have to create variety. Put them in situations where they don't have a pre-programmed design. Okay? And then when they choose the right thing, be dynamic with your rewards. Be dynamic with the value you're creating. Okay? Then you should start seeing progress. When you start seeing progress, add your layers. Push for growth. Because you already saw the fact that your dog can grow. So now push for growth, okay? And then once you have growth and you have layers, then go back to the very first time where everything was hard and recreate the experience. See if you can work through that, okay? Now, there is one last thing that I wanna remind everybody. Charging something means to create value for it. The best way to charge anything is with your words. So charging the word yes involves pairing the word yes with food. Yes, food. Yes, food. Yes, food. Everybody here that's familiar with our methods has charged the word yes. Okay, so that means charging something. The word yes meant nothing to your dog before you charged it. It really had no value. But after you charge it, it actually releases endorphins in the brain that makes the dog feel good. You understand? So that's really amazing. But charging doesn't have to be only for word yes. Charging can be this. This can be charged. So if you put a lot of emphasis on working with something like this inside the house, and you have a lot of fun and you put all your energy on this several times and you hide it, and when you bring it up, it's very exciting and amazing and fun, this will have a high amount of value. So when you go out and you want to be dynamic with your value, all you need is to bring this out.
So you're saying start inside, like if you have something like that,
That you
start
want to
inside and then take it out. Like
Right,
that would
you-
be like if I let her do her pray pull thing or whatever, she's already known about it in the house, but then when I have it there, it's like, yeah,
100%.
okay.
Another level of charge is something like Bruce and Bev have been so good at and have helped by volunteering. They have a countless of our dogs. They charge looking up. Looking up. They're constantly asking the dog, hey, there's value here, there's value here, there's value here, there's value here, there's value here. That's also charging. This charging a particular behavior. Now, that also was inside the house first. Now, the next amount of charging is standing on a mark. And this for cats is amazing, by the way, Megan. Teaching a cat to stand on a little stool and paying them for standing on a stool. Okay, cats are very hard to slow down sometimes. So when you teach them mark training, putting their two paws on something and standing still like sphinxes like this, you actually earn a tremendous amount of respect from the cat. So that is also charging. So what I'm trying to tell you is I want you to understand that charging is giving value to something that you can use later on. I use mark training to build confidence in situations where the dogs are insecure all the time. All the time. Or somebody just asked about learning more about mark training. We can definitely do a class on that. That is a huge concept. Like mark training, I will tell you, I saved hundreds of dogs' lives with mark training. It is an amazing behavior to teach. Okay, so that is that. So that's charging. So the clicker training is awesome, really awesome. It's the same as yes. My problem with a clicker, Megan, is I always lose them. They always freeze. I never have them when I need them. And okay, so I am not good at clicker training because it's like, where's my clicker? But you can do the exact same thing with a yes, the word yes. And that's something I always have with me. But it's exactly the same. So the next thing I want to talk about, apart from charging, is that you can also charge a behavior. And the way you charge a behavior in people, okay, is focusing on what you want most of the time. So I don't know if anybody saw the Facebook page today, but I put a photo today of one of the little tiny aggressive dogs that I was working with. And I put how to actually create good behaviors is actually to focus on what you want. So what I'm saying is like, the next time my partner takes out the garbage, is gonna be, I am so impressed that you took the garbage. Can I give you a kiss? That is some value creation right there. And I'm focusing on what I want. So that's the other part of charging. charging starts with yourself really making an effort to focus on what is good. Because I'm going to tell you something. For every one thing that happens that's negative to you, there's 150 things that happen that were good. But you didn't see them because you were programmed to see the bad. But you don't have to agree with that. You don't have to cooperate with that. And the way to not cooperate or agree with that is actually make a choice to create value when the things that you like are there. Like another example is if I notice my dog is laying down for any reason, settle, yes. Well done, settle, yes. Well done, right? If I'm talking to somebody and my dog is settled, it's settled, yes. Like I'm creating value. I didn't ask my dog to do anything, he just did it. And so I'm creating that value for that choice. So I'm getting a lot of focus. That also is charging. So there's a couple of real important, these fur toys are like, I can let you know, like right now, let me check. They're not expensive. I was actually surprised about that. They're just hard to get. Try getting them. It took me forever to get them. So let's see. They are about $30 for the sheepskin. The rest are $20. So for some reason, the sheepskin is more expensive.
Are you selling them or?
Yeah,
you-
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You guys.
You have enough. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that one is that. And then, so there's a couple of vocabulary words that I want you to integrate for this particular class. One of them is choices, variety, dynamic, progression, layers and pushing, recreation, and charging. Those are the words that are really important for you to understand because it's going to expand your vocabulary that allows you to work better with your dog. Right? And it's really important for you to start understanding that your dog is actually another sentient being and is not actually a human. So it is your responsibility to actually learn dog because you can adapt and you're very good at it. If you can learn French, you can learn dog. Definitely. Okay, so the words are choices, okay, variety, dynamic, value, progressing or progress, pushing and layering, recreating, and charging. Are we good with this? Now, the practical application of this is dependent on how much fun you're willing to have. Because you really, if you have a dog or you have a cat or you have a horse for that matters, that is stuck in a particular behavior, if you put them in a situation that never been before, that behavior is gone. And it gives you the opportunity to really create value at that point. So that is what I mean. Like you have to know where your dog is at. You have to know where you're at. And you can't go against nature. You have to work with nature. And then nature will give back to you tremendously because you understand how it works with nature. Nature has intelligence. It's like why we spend so much time telling you about who you are as a human being is because you're part of nature. And so growing you means understanding you. Right? And we are not alone. So when I grow, you grow. And when you grow, I grow. And this is what value creation is about. And same thing with your dogs. Right? I mean, I was working the other day with a dog that wouldn't stop barking. Okay, it was very difficult. You guys should relate. Cuatro was there at some point. right? So, but it was so difficult. The owner was so stressed. Her body language was so stressed. And you can tell that it was like pins in her head that the dog was barking and barking and barking. So at that moment, I know where she's at. And I told her, can I take your dog with me? And can I do some of the work so I can make it easier on you? There was absolutely no point for her to try to do the work because she's at a point where it's too triggering. You see? So I could help the dog faster than she could help her dog. So then that worked really well because the dog doesn't have any associations with me. So then she was like, oh, barking doesn't work with you. So it stopped. And then I was able to give her value because she stopped, because she doesn't have any association with me. So putting the owner in a situation that she wasn't comfortable and putting the dog in a situation that she wasn't comfortable actually worked out for everybody. You see what I mean? That's what I mean with variety. Does anybody have any questions so far? I saw a hand, not sure.
Sally,
Yes,
it's regarding choices. So as you know, Vision, well trained when I got her, knows some of the things better than I do. And then when some of the choices games, then I get kind of locked up, and she's like, I'm pretty sure she's like, you're not doing that like they did. What are you doing? And so any advice to the humans on how to like do that, say with the looking for a different behavior to get the treat out of that, the hand from find, or
so there's a couple of things that I always do when I'm screwing up things because of my handling. Number one is toss the treat. Okay, so if I was trying to help my dog do a particular thing and I got all like convoluted in my head and I got triggered and I did something wrong and I couldn't really do something properly, I just toss the treat. Because what happens, it allows my dog's head to go down and me to take a breath. Well, that didn't work. And then for me to just go back to a little bit more calm myself. And then I would just stop and breathe. Actually, a lot of the time when we make mistakes, there's a lot of other things that happens inside our heads. So then we lose ourselves a little bit into our mind. So it is important for you to stop and breathe. This is real key. So I will toss my treat. I will like stop moving, stop, breathe, get myself together, and then try again. And is that, I'm not sure if I understood properly, but if I understood properly, you're trying to say, sometimes I'm trying to work with my dog, but I'm not 100% clear how to do something. So my dog is confused. So I don't know what to do. Is that correct, Mike?
That and the like trying to create a new behavior to like creating that that new choice to get a reward, like say the touching with the nose to the hand, then switching that to pawing the hand, to switching that to.
Are you talking about creating a dynamic value, like
Yes.
a different? Yeah. Okay. My apologies. I thought something else. But okay.
Both, actually.
So yeah. So the way to create dynamic value is not necessarily about asking something different. It's how you give the treat or like the toy. So for example, I can give the treat like this. The dog is drooling. Or I can give the treat. Boom! So I'm not asking the dog to do anything anymore. It's how I'm going to give the value. So that's what it means. So I can give the value like this. Whoa, good puppy, you're so cute. La, 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 la. Or I can go, you rock. You got this. Different facial expressions. I can also turn and do, you got it. So it's actually have to do with your physical body. It doesn't have to do with asking something else, because that was the choice. That was the variety. Okay, that's something else. The creating of value is how you deliver something. The expression is flexible. That's right. Right? So that is actually what you want to do. So sometimes you can give your value by like literally looking between your legs and giving it through your legs. The dogs always look at you like, what? That was fun. They always do that. They always laugh at you when you give a treat between your legs for some particular reason. Right? So like it's like that. And then I always make faces. Like, you know, things like that. And the dog is totally entertained. You can just tell. Right? And if okay, the other day, I was working with a dog that had resource guarding. Okay, so it bites people when there's lots of food around. And guess what I did? I spilled my entire treat bag in front of the dog. Okay, so then obviously that's an entire setup for the dog to like bite me because I just spilled all the food everywhere. So you know what I did? I go, hey puppy. And I backed up running, and the dog is like, oh, that's more fun than the food. And it's like, help. You know what I mean? So like you just have to be creating on your value, because like that it can take you out of a situation that could be potentially like difficult. But also, like Mike, if you look at what it actually takes for you to be dynamic, okay, there's a few challenges with that. You have to be very okay with failure, because dynamic involves a lot of failing. You have to be okay with that. You also have to be okay with making a fool of yourself in front of others, because it also involves that, right? So there's a couple, that's why I want you to look into the words. If you really want to work through the words and actually get them into your body, you will use Technotutor. Again, ask people, Megan uses Technotutor. She's been using it for a long time. How does that help you, Megan?
It's funny because as you talk about all these characteristics with the animals, I'm like, I need to apply this with myself before I can apply this with any other creature in my house. Because if I'm not walking the walk and expecting my pet to walk it, it's not going to work. Like I have to be willing to do the work within myself as well as with my animals. So like everything you're saying about like failure and being dynamic, because like a lot of these things are instinctive for them. They make the choices, they have their programming, and so do we. So we have to work through our end as well in order to support them.
And that Megan really said that very well, because our animals are our mirror image, whether you like it or not. Okay, it doesn't matter if they had a horrible past, they are gonna mirror you. The second a dog has been living with you for 4 weeks, they're your mirror. After that, so there's challenges that you have to work through. Okay, so Mabel, you know Megan. Good looking girls.
Currently barking right now. And I'm like, oh.
She's excited. She can hear me. Okay, so that's the point about dynamic. That's the point about that. And so it definitely is more about being creative with your expression. Right? And at times you're gonna make mistakes and don't know what to do. And look, that's my cat. Up there, Ninja Cat, told you. Okay. And she's gonna come here right now and it's gonna be, why are you talking on the computer? Yeah. So very important that we work through that, and that also you give yourself a break, because what I was telling you about, like the actual techniques, the actual practice of these things, it is gonna take a little bit of time, and you have to be patient with yourself, and you actually have to be okay making the mistakes and winning some battles and losing some. There's the piano. Told you. My cat played it just now. Ryu? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anne, I believe you had a question.
Oh, I was just going to say that there has been I changed things up a little bit. I took her bed and put it on the floor, and I stopped tying her to the couch. And when she misbehaved, I didn't correct her. My friend corrected her fiercely. And that seemed to have more of a response. So we don't seem to have as many blow-ups every day.
That's
So
really good.
That's progress.
That is progress indeed. One thing that I do want to make sure we do though, because reprimanding or like giving a consequence can actually break a little bit of trust. It is also important that your friend rewards what we want. Okay?
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, okay, perfect. Oh, there's a Valor. Hi, Valor. So definitely also getting your friend to reward when she doesn't react is gonna be a lot more valuable for you too.
Yeah.
So, but
But
I love,
in the next breath, all's lovey-dovey, and she'll come up for cuddles and kisses.
oh, that's good.
So, for both of us.
That's great.
So she'll come up and sit on your lap and give me kisses on my cheek, etc., etc. So
That is just amazing. Going from like, I don't like you and you're scary to like giving you kisses and laying on your lap is amazing. Well done. Way to
Yeah.
build trust,
yeah,
right? Yeah, way to be trust. Now it's necessary to build respect.
respect and behavior.
That's right.
Unfortunately, she's tending to bark because the senile old dog has to guard and sounds like Maria Callas. So it gets to be a bit tricky sometimes and noisy.
For sure, but bear with them, and then try to give them entertaining things. So usually what I find with barking is that barking has a very specific pattern. So there's a specific patterns when barking occurs. So I try to interrupt the pattern. And that works really, we can have a class just on that if anybody has a challenge with barking, because that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes, please.
we got that. All right, guys, so we're done for today.